Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green. You're watching AMTV Alternative Media Television. First thing, please share this video. Like, get it out to your friends and family. Again, they don't want you to know the truth. We have a major event coming to the United States, a financial shock unlike anything that we've ever seen in world history. And it's not just myself, it's many economists, many students of history, many people on Wall Street are warning about this. In fact, we just met with Jim Rogers out in Singapore. He warned of this singular event to be so bad that it would pale in comparison to 2008 and 09. It would pale in comparison to the Great Depression. Now, it's amazing that people don't think that this can happen, and I've got a chart here. I'm looking at the S&P 500. Since the trillion-dollar bailouts in 2008 and 09, we have seen this trajectory of a straight vertical shot as a result of the bailouts, as a result of 0% interest rates, and as a result of this artificial inflation that is crippling the dollar, destroying the U.S. dollar. In fact, if we look at a long-term chart of the U.S. dollar, it's going straight down. Ever since we got off the gold standard and we weren't taking sound money principles into consideration, basically the train has derailed here in the United States. But most Americans, they're not going to notice it until it turns into Venezuela. They're not going to notice it until there's a world war. They're not going to notice it until we actually have a major event again. Now, Trump, in this kind of last of the steam of the triple top of the Dow Jones Industrial Average, we're in and around like 27,000 right now. Maybe we even pop up a little bit more before we blow up. They'll call it a blow off top. I'm calling it a blow up. But part of this might be catalyzed by some kind of finagling with the China trade deal. Now, of course, the United States of America is at war with China. We are at war with China. We are at war with Iran. We are at war with North Korea. None of these tensions have eased. We saw this out in France, actually. There was a soldier who was flying on some kind of machine with a gun on the right side of his hip, I think it was, preluding. And really, all these cosmic events that we're seeing. By the way, there's a 3 times increased frequency of earthquakes hitting all over the globe right now, whether or not it is Southern California or it's the quake that just hit in Indonesia and another quake that just hit in Australia. We have all these events marrying themselves almost like into this plasma goo, warning the American people, and more importantly, warning the people of the world of what is to come. But what's the point of understanding and knowing this is coming if you can't do anything about it? And so in today's video, I'm going to focus on what you can do about it. So again, like this video, share it. Also, before we get started, I want you to go to gold.amtvmedia.com. I want you to click the link below right now, or go to gold.amtvmedia.com. Fill out a little information. It's really easy. I've got a special report. It's absolutely free. Okay, there's no cost at all. This is free for you guys, free for yourself, free for your family. I encourage you to print this out, put it on your refrigerator, and take notes. You can even pause this video. Make sure you sign up right now, because again, there's no cost. Take notes during today's video, because I'm going to teach you how to prepare, and more importantly, what I see coming, and then how to pivot and potentially profit from this radical event about to hit our shores here in the United States and abroad. I think that we're going to have a major breakout in the gold market here. I just pulled up the kit, how to profit with gold and silver. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not giving investment advice. I'm saying you're going to have investment returns, you're going to make money or anything like that. This is purely education. Read our disclaimers and disclosures at amtvgold.com. But here's what we know. We know that the debt is at a record that we've never seen in world history. Okay, we saw this before the collapse of the Roman Empire, when they were clipping the coins of the Aurelius and devaluing its currency artificially. This is what the Federal Reserve has in practice here in the United States, and it's absolutely insane to think about. It's insane that they can manipulate our currency to such a degree that, for example, it artificially raises real estate prices. Okay, you've probably noticed the real estate prices, the cost of rent and homes, and home ownership is becoming out of the grasp of a lot of people in this country because they can't afford it. And the reason is, it's because of the criminal Federal Reserve central bank policies at the central bank. Okay, it's a result of the too big to fail bailouts. Okay, all of these companies, Wells Fargo, Bankrupt of America, UBS, not only were some of these companies manipulating things like LIBOR and have had to pay massive fines, but they were doing all kinds of crazy shenanigans with derivative products and CDOs and CMOs harkens back to the day of Lehman Brothers and Bear Stearns. Now, we've already had these warning signs again. This is what's amazing. People are missing it just like they did in 2008 and 09. We have had major financial institutions, Deutsche Bank specifically, I talked about this last week, just fired over 18,000 people, and its stock price is on its way to zero. Now, because the stock market's levitating right now, triple topping on all these bailouts, people don't seem to be that concerned about it. But remember, people weren't very concerned when Lehman Brothers collapsed. They're like, oh, you know, bank collapses, who cares? Then Bear Stearns, then Bank of America, then Merrill Lynch. Those two companies had to merge at the time, swallow each other up. We had other banks completely go to zero. They had to be acquired. Washington Mutual was one of them. Stock price went to zero. People forget this. Okay, they forget the bankruptcies, they forget the pain. And by the way, most of you tuning in, and most Americans, we know this is an absolute fact, have not recovered from the greatest financial crisis, calamity, and event in history. So again, what good is it? This is my humble opinion. What good is it knowing this if you can't pivot, profit, protect your family, and basically ensure the success of yourself, the people that you care about, and hopefully future generations? Because I truly believe that this can build a legacy for you and your family. So again, I'm going to get into the details of this, but make sure, because you honestly can't follow along with this video unless you get the free guide, enter the information at gold.amtvmedia.com or click the link below. It'll automatically redirect you to this page right here. Okay, the How to Profit with Gold and Silver free kit. Protect you and your family from financial ruin, inflation, and currency disruption. So all of this should be very alarming. These are alarming trends. We talk a lot about the differences between deflation and inflation, these kinds of things. Here's the point, doesn't even matter, okay? We can have deflation and inflation, both of them mixed together at the same time. In fact, we saw this in 2008 and 09. What happened to mortgages, real estate prices, and all the securitized debt? It collapsed, okay? It was called the subprime mortgage crisis. While at the same time, other things seemed to get more expensive, like food and water and eggs and poultry and meat. And then, you know, for a little while, there was a deal on some things. We saw this with the energy shock not too long ago, where when oil prices were really high. And remember when they told us there was peak oil? And now there's too much of it, right? So oil prices, see, all of this is just manipulated. All of it is manipulated, but here's what's happening with gold. Let's zero in on gold here for a moment. Gold has been artificially suppressed for a very long time. For a very long time by these criminal practices at the Federal Reserve, the central banks, and the banksters that engineered the crises and then received the bailouts of the trillions of dollars without a single taxpayer vote. So they've been artificially suppressing gold, but here's the deal. They're going to lift the lid on it. Because there's a psychological, tactical, and strategic reason for them to allow gold to basically bubble up. And I think we will be entering a brand new gold bubble in the coming days, weeks, and months. I'm expecting, this is my opinion, no guarantee of results, massive returns. I'm expecting, and I'm going to go over some key indicators here in a moment on the charts. I think we're going to hit 1,500 very, very soon. I think gold and silver have been out of favor for a very long time, and I think there's been all these contrarian trades, and this is why I talk about diversification. For those of you that know me, you've been following me for 11 years, you know I own things like blockchain technology, I own gold, I own silver, I own crypto, I own land, real estate, preps, survival equipment, all these kinds of things. This is why you have a holistic basket, right? Your mom would always tell you, don't always invest in one thing. But there is, in my opinion, okay, and the sources that I have, again, I was a guy who worked for a major Wall Street firm. I worked for Merrill Lynch in 2008-09. My friends out in New York that are still part of these hedge funds and these kinds of things tell me, hey, Christopher, you know, behind closed doors, they're about to open up the lid on this thing. I'm gold. And there's a reason for it. Okay, so I'm going to get to this in a moment. So I'm expecting price action in both of the precious metals. Now, silver, which we've seen almost have a little bit of a higher alpha in the past, I think is also going to see an extended rally in the coming weeks and months. So here's the conclusion. You need to understand tuning in. This is why you need the worksheet. Make sure you got it, gold.amtvmedia.com. Download it. It's free, absolutely free. And by the way, we've got great partners over at Birch Gold. These guys are amazing. I've been doing business with them for a long time. So if you have questions that you just want to ask, like, hey, how do I roll over my IRA? How do I start doing these kinds of things so I can take advantage of the things that you're potentially talking about here, Christopher? Or what are the tax advantages with an IRA account? How do I open one? What do I do? How do I start a new one? Birch Gold, free of charge. They'll consult. You can just call them on the phone, or just by filling in the kit, they can reach out to you as well. So it's valuable information. Again, knowledge is power, and the willful direction of that knowledge in a meaningful way with a strategy and a roadmap is also power. Also, in addition to that, just by watching this video, I'm going to give away something for free today. I'm going to give away the gold course to 20 of you tuning in. Okay, so you'll enter that automatic raffle. That has a dollar value of, well, we sell the course for a few $100 or something like that. So if I give it out to 20 of you guys, that's kind of a reward. Get that in your hands as well. I have a complete video series where I teach a lot of the stuff I'm talking about now, but I go into a lot more depth, give you the roadmap and the tools, the keys to the kingdom, so to speak. Another reason, get the kit. Okay, there's no reason you don't want to enter that raffle, and more importantly, you get the 24-page PDF document absolutely free. And this stuff is just a roadmap for what I think is going to be an epic boom. And I think will be called the next real gold bubble. But here's the thing. I really don't think it's a bubble. I think it's supply and demand equalizing itself. As we see with economics, supply and demand, where you're going to have an equilibrium. And now that there's this knowledge that they're going to lift the lid off the artificial suppression of gold prices, this is going to create a run. Now, we saw this. Maybe I'll go to a couple charts here, and Alex, I'll have you pull this up on the screen for our audience. But you look at these charts, and we saw with gold, for example, after the crash 2008-09, we saw an initial dip and then a huge bull run, huge bull market cycle. And we hit peaks escalating all the way to 1,800 an ounce. Okay, looking at the charts, looking at the technicals, I look at a lot of things, MACD indicators, a lot of different technical variations of that. I look at common day moving averages, 5,200 day, these kinds of things. Highly likely I see a run to 1,500. That looks pretty obvious to me in the charts. Silver, I also think, could potentially be in a breakout mode as well. Might even have a little bit more alpha than gold. Not really sure yet. You know, keep in mind, silver is used in semiconductors, a lot of computer products, these kinds of things. They can actually bring more production to market than gold. So whereas gold, the best that they can do is bring maybe like 3%. I've seen as high as 5% of new supply to market in a given year, like on an annual to annual basis. Silver, they can bring somewhere, I think, if I remember correctly, like 10%. So there are some differences between silver and gold, but really what I see is for both metals, actually, but probably most primarily gold. I think we're going to get a breakout like we haven't seen in a long time. And we always hear things like FOMO, right? People start fear that they're missing out. All of a sudden they see these on the indicators of CNBC, et cetera. They start to get, and also, look, psychology is going to change really quickly when this collapse hits. Okay, the minute we get the shakeup, by the way, 42,000 plus people, it rose up to almost near 100,000 people without power in New York City this weekend. Completely out of power. They were standing in Times Square and the juice went out. What is going to happen when this happens on Wall Street? By the way, that was a test. That was a test. Con Edison says they don't know what happened, why it occurred. What's going to happen when the power goes out on Wall Street for just an hour? You know, the markets are going to stay open and rally. No, they're going to collapse. They're going to shut down the New York Stock Exchange. It's going to be panic. The hedge funds, the supercomputers, this nanotech, all this crazy stuff, these shenanigans, the zeros and ones are going to sell things short all the way to zero. That's what they're going to do. Gold is going to skyrocket. So we have major catalysts. We have major events, not to mention geopolitical conflict with countries like Iran, North Korea, the things that we even see here on the streets of America. We have very divisive politics leading up to the election as well. There's a lot that can happen that's unpredictable in between. So, you know, I was talking to a friend about this at church actually this weekend. You know, it's an insurance policy. But better than that, I think that there's immense profit-making opportunity here. Now, these are the things I'm doing for myself and my own family. It's one of the reasons why I diversify in all these different baskets. And I also think, I know a lot of you aren't interested in blockchain. Some of you just stick to gold. That's fine. I do both because I see opportunity in both. I've had fantastic, fabulous returns, crypto, 1,000x rates of return. It's changed my life in a lot of ways, so I share that with the world. But I actually think, and the reason I'm bringing the crypto up for some of you, even if you're not interested in it, is I actually think it's one of the reasons they're going to lift this pot of the boiling water off of gold. Okay, because the Federal Reserve is trying to combat a currency, crypto, Bitcoin, which potentially rivals the US dollar Federal Reserve currency. And the blood money backed by all this kind of stuff through generations. One of the ways they can do that is to try to divert attention, right? When you're looking over here, drive the attention over here. And divert the attention to gold, okay, which would get speculators involved. Of course, Wall Street, which manipulates all this because it's all fake. Stock market's fake too. Dividends don't really matter. Balance sheets don't matter. Income statements, cash flow statements, doesn't matter. None of that matters. What matters is the manipulation at the Federal Reserve, what they're printing, how much debt they're issuing, how Wall Street can cheaply buy back its own shares at a stock buyback program and borrow at 0% from the open Fed market window. Okay, that's what matters. The fundamentals don't matter at all. It's really just kind of a psychological manipulation game. The point I'm bringing this up is there is an incentive to catalyze a run in gold. Okay, now they're not going to stop crypto, but it will catalyze gold in the meantime, and I think there's opportunity for all of you tuning in, myself included. I mean, hey, I want to profit too. Why not? Why wouldn't I? If I thought gold was going to go to 1,500 and then I think we go to 1,600 and then 1,700 and potentially eclipse new all-time highs again because I foresee an economic crisis worse than the Great Depression, why wouldn't I profit from it? Okay, that's how all the major family dynasties and the money has been made. And we can do it on a level, right, your own level for your family by just being prudent, smart, and through a little diversification. So back to our kit here, and I go over the pricing information. Again, you want to get this, okay, because I give you actual specifics on, okay, well, what can you learn from history? What do we expect? What do I expect is going to happen right after this storm hits? How will Wall Street react? What will be the temporary price moves, in my humble opinion? So you're going to want to get the downloadable gold PDF because I discuss the two principal economic risks ahead, but how to actually leverage the potential of these gains that I see coming. Okay, and I'd also consider too, I have this for myself, I have IRA accounts and these kinds of things set up to invest in precious metals, other tangibles like this because of all the tax advantages and the compounding interest, so to speak, appreciation advantages of these types of accounts, which wasn't it Einstein said something like that's like the greatest secret that no one knows about, but everyone should know about, just compound interest. For example, if you took $200,000, never went to college, never took on that debt, just put in an interest-bearing account, a rate of annualized return of 5%, let's just say invested in an index fund, over the next 30 years or so, I think about between 30, 35, you'd have over $1 million. $1 million, and you did nothing. You never had to add more principal. You just took $200,000, put it into an account, let it ride at 5%. All right, that's the power of compounding. People don't understand that. But the thing that you do need to understand in addition to that is you got to keep up with inflation. Right? Gold has always been a hedge to economic collapse, civilization collapse, geopolitical conflict, manipulation of central banks and the Federal Reserve, which they're going to put off the lid, and also war and these kinds of problems that we're currently facing. So in the short run, I'm expecting at least another 100 points to the ounce of gold. Okay, I'm expecting a run to 1,500. Wanted to close with this, and I'm going to do an update on this. Again, get it out to your friends and family. Get the kit. It's that easy. I don't want to talk too long today because if you don't take action, it doesn't matter what I say. Okay, I'm not putting out this video for entertainment purposes. I'm putting it out so you actually do something, so that you take action. Okay, it's why I give it away for free. Absolutely for free. Click the link below, get the kit. Jim Rogers, friend of ours here at AMTV, warns says the worst bear market in history is coming. It's going to be very, very bad. This is what he told me when I was actually in Singapore. You know what he also told me off camera? Alex can vouch for this as well. I said, Christopher, I would really think seriously about getting a couple passports in other countries, get a couple different passports outside of the United States. This is a guy that worked with George Soros at the Quantum Fund. Okay, he knows what he's talking about. And he basically put that in my ear like, look, he knows what's going on. Okay, this guy is, I don't think Jim is a billionaire, but he's pretty close. I think he kind of went into semi-retirement after the days with George Soros. I don't think he really cared about making billions more. It was kind of like he's going to live his life, enjoy it to the fullest, take care of his kids, move his family out of a Western declining situation here in the United States, put them in Singapore where they learned Mandarin, and they immersed themselves in Asia, which really, frankly, is where a lot of the opportunity is today. It's not in America. It's over. So people like Jim are investing in things like gold. Now, Jim will also tell you he's waiting for a pullback at some point, and I think we might get that temporary price shock. There's no guarantee, okay? But if we do, he's told me, hey, I'd start making major moves. If we see more consolidation in gold, it'd be an opportunity for my kids and my family. I'm gonna make some big moves. Also, there's a video I encourage you to watch. Here I am with Jim Rogers in Singapore. It went viral, 300,000 plus views. Some of you have seen it, others have you not. He's a really nice guy, Jim, and he's basically saying the same things I am. Okay, I'm not the only one. Don't take my word for it. A lot of talking heads out there. It gets confusing sometimes. There's a lot of noise. But here's what we know. Math. Math means there's going to be a reversion of the mean. Math means that this chart is going to collapse once again, just like it always has in world history. Here's the S&P 500, the daily chart. It's going to go down. So here's the question. How much time do you think you have? A lot? 10 years. We're going on 11 years since the worst financial crisis in history. There's not been a single correction. How much time do you think we have? I don't think we have a lot of time. Click the link below, get the kit right now. Or visit gold.amtvmedia.com. Put your question, comment in the box below. Myself or my team will reach out to you. And we love you guys. God bless. Jesus Christ is King. Get the kit, get the guide. You're going to need it.